All right, folks. It is another brand new edition of the 901 Soccer Podcast here on Bluff City Media. I am your host, Lawrence Docker. You can find me on Twitter at L.93. You can find the 901 Soccer Podcast on Twitter at 901 Soccer Pod. You can find us on Facebook as well. Just search 901 Soccer and we will pop right up. You can also find Bluff City Media on Twitter at Bluff City _media. You can find them on Facebook as well. Just search Bluff City Media. They'll pop right up. If you are not, feel free to subscribe to Bluff City Media, become an insider today. Not just for the 901 soccer coverage, and it's not just 901 FC. We also do, the Memphis Americans games, and also coming up here in, I don't know, maybe 2-3 weeks, might start doing some Memphis Tigers women's games. So definitely subscribe, not just for the soccer coverage, but also for Tiger football season is coming up. We've covered showboats. There's a lot of Grizzlies coverage, a lot of Tiger basketball, men's, women's. Basically, if there is a sport in Memphis being played, Bluff City Media is going to be your place to get the best coverage of it. So, going to keep this one for the most part fairly brief, and then there's some contentious issues that need to be discussed here. 901 FC falls 4-3 to Orange County SC downtown at AutoZone Park. We're going to talk about kind of the run of form that 901 FC has had coming into this game. I'll give you kind of a brief rundown on what happened in the game. After tonight, that's 5 winless. We'll talk about that a little bit. And then also a lot of refereeing discussions to be had about the refereeing in this game. Some of it I had no problem with. Some of it I did have problems with, but it's probably not the part that you're thinking. This just comes from being a referee for 17 years and knowing what to look for. Then we'll go ahead and shut it down and get out of here. But before we go any further, I would also like to just give, if there's anybody out there in listener land that is interested in sponsoring this show or any of the other shows here on Bluff City Media, you are more than welcome to reach out to me or to anybody else at Bluff City Media. If you have goods or services or products that you are interested in advertising, we would be more than happy to take your money and advertise your goods, services, and products. So with that being said, look, the form for 901 FC coming into this game, obviously things had been going very, very well for 901 FC. They had gone 12 games unbeaten. There's not a lot of bad things you can say about a team going 12 games unbeaten in league play. I think Stephen Glass in the postgame tonight mentioned that I think the only team that's done it this year is Pittsburgh. They went, I think, 13, but they lost to Ben Pierman and Charleston tonight. So it was 12 in a row, and, I missed the most recent win. I was unfortunately away for the Ben Pierman return game, which was a great 3-2 win, which I hate that I had to miss. And I feel somewhat foolish now because if you'll recall, anybody that has followed me for the last 2 weeks will recall is, for about a month ago, it was after the Louisville City game. I sat in my car in the parking lot at Lynn Family Stadium, recorded an audio-only podcast because I forgot to take my camera and my mic with me, so I do apologize for that again. And I said, look, if they can get through these next 3 home games with 7 out of a possible 9 points, I am prepared to say that this is going to be the most complete team that Memphis 901 FC has ever had, and this is their 5th season in town. They got through those 3 games in the homestand, a 0-0 draw with Detroit, which if you had to get one draw, that wasn't the one. I hate Detroit. I've got this. I think I still have the sticker floating around right here, courtesy of Ian Johnson. Right? See, Detroit sucks right there. I still have it floating around here. Draw at home, got a 4-0 win against Tulsa midweek, and a 3-2 win at home against Charleston. So you got 7 out of 9 points at home. At which point, true to my word, I was like, look, this is the most complete team Memphis 901 FC has ever had. And that's usually right when the rug gets pulled out from under your feet, and that's exactly what happened. You had the national TV game on July the 1st against Phoenix, which finished 6-0. It was 2-0 before any of us even got to see what was going on because the powers that be at ESPN2 decided that the viewers would be more interested in watching a cornhole championship than USL soccer. And I am not making that up. It was a cornhole champion, brought to you by Johnsonville Brats. So by the time they finally cut in, 22 minutes into the game, 901 FC was down 2-0. And I needed to even bother tuning in for the rest of the game. But you think, you know what? Coming home. One bad game, burn the tape, move on. That was rough. Phoenix, it was 112 degrees out in Phoenix, or, it's a dry heat. That's what they tell me as they're taking me into the ambulance. My oven is a dry heat. That doesn't mean I want to stick my head in there. But anyway, it was brutally hot. Went down early. You know what? Burn the tape. One bad game. They're coming off 12 games unbeaten. One bad game. Move on down the road. Well, you get home and you get a visit from the reigning, you get a visit from the reigning champions, San Antonio. And that Friday, I was a guest on Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy show on 5:60 a.m. Friday morning. And the first question was about the 6-0 defeat. And I was like, don't worry about it. 6-0. It was rough. Burn the tape. Move on down the road. Every team and every sport and every country in the world has just one of those games where it's just, for whatever reason, it's a bad game. Move on down the road. And I reiterated my belief that since they had gotten 7 out of 9 points from those 3 home games, I was like, this is the most complete team. And then that night I got made a fool of. And the game finished 4-0 to San Antonio. So that's 10-0 in back-to-back games. That's a problem. I was not happy. The fans were not happy. And this is not to suggest that the players were happy. They weren't. They're professionals. They don't want to go out there and lose 10-0. That's not what I'm saying here. Okay. I'm very well, like I'm a dude in the press box. Okay. At the end of the day, what I say and think and do does not matter should not matter to what's going out on the field. That's not where I was going with that. Okay, guys. It's 10-0 after 2 games is rough. That's rough. But you know what? You had the midweek trip to Oakland, which shouldn't have even had to happen if Oakland had done what they were supposed to at the start of the season, which, by the way, can you imagine the uproar if 901 FC had not had their field down in time and had to move the game early on in the season? You remember we were all, myself included, I hold my hand up, that Wednesday of the Loudoun game, I was like, there's no way they're going to be able to get this game played. They don't have there's no grass in the stadium. By hook, by crook, doesn't matter. They got it done. They got the grass down. And more power to them for it. And can you imagine the shitstorm that would have arisen if 901 FC had not had that field down? Well, 2 weeks later, they get ready to go out to Oakland. They fly out to Oakland, and Oakland's like, oh, yeah, by the way, we forgot to tell you, we just finished putting our field down yesterday. We can't play this weekend. You guys need to turn around and fly home. But what it did do is it gave 901 FC, didn't have time to dwell on back-to-back poundings. So they went on the road. They got a draw at Oakland. Points on the road, nothing to complain about. Then they didn't even get to come home. Might as well just stay out there because you're playing at Sacramento. They got another 1-1 draw. Now that one, a little bit iffier because, Sacramento's a quality organization, quality team. They seem for years like they were poised to be the next expansion team in MLS, and just for whatever reason, they keep not being the next expansion team in MLS. I'm not really sure why that is. I guess because their stadiums they can't get a larger stadium. I don't know. I'm not in on the ins and outs of Sacramento, California soccer, but that was a Tim Mulqueen special to be up 1-0 for quite some time and then give up an equalizer in the last 3 minutes of the game. That's a visit from the ghost of Tim Mulqueen's past. But you know what? What it did, it stopped the bleeding. Right? You had 6-0 and 4-0. Not good. Nobody's happy about that. So then you get the opportunity to go on the road against teams in the playoff positions, and you get points on the road. That's nothing to sneeze at. What you can't do is come home after you stop the bleeding and then take the bandage off and let the bleeding continue. And that's kind of what happened tonight against Orange County. It started out so well. It really did. The crowd didn't look great before the game, but by the time the first couple of minutes rolled by, you looked, the first base line down that way had filled out quite nicely. I think the attendance ended up being 3,971, which, if I'm not mistaken, is probably the largest crowd of the season since the opener against Loudoun, which cracked 4,000. Of course, I'm still missing the attendance figures from the Miami game on June 3rd and the Charleston game on June 24th. But I was at the Miami game, and it was not as good as the crowd tonight. So I wasn't at the Charleston game. I can't speak to that, and the people that can won't give me that info. But anyway, so it started off very well. Eventually, good-looking crowd. 901C goes up 1-0. 901C goes up 2-0. Now you're thinking, this is awesome. It's 2-0. The first goal was absolutely horrendous goalkeeping from Orange County. That's one thing I will say about this game tonight. If you were a neutral, this game was amazing for you. Like, if you're just some crazy person who just enjoys watching USL games that you have no interest in whatsoever, more power to you. I appreciate you doing what you can to help grow the game. But if you're just some dude in, I don't know, Omaha, Nebraska, that just decided to flip on ESPN Plus and say, 901FC and Orange County. Boop, there we go. Goal very early in the game from Emerson Heineman. Decent shot, put it on frame, did what he was supposed to do. It wasn't a great shot. It didn't have a ton of power on it, but it went where it needed to go. It went into the net because it was horrendous goalkeeping. I mean, it was not quite Rob Green level of goalkeeping. And given that, this was not, in fact, a World Cup game, but I mean, that was bad. That was bad, and it went in. And then the next goal, best goal of the game, in my opinion, probably if we're being honest, really the only goal that should have been scored. Like, I feel like I tweeted it out at halftime. It was 3-3 at halftime, and it probably should have only been 1-0. It's just the defending on both sides, bad. The goalkeeping, both sides. Well, Drew Romig I will say Drew Romig had a better performance than the Schutler, I think was the name for the Orange County goalkeeper. Schutler or Schutler? Yes, Colin Schutler, Schutler. Schutler, yes. He did not have a good game. And that's just one of the weird things about soccer is Drew Romig was the better goalkeeper on the night, but he gave up more goals, which is odd. And you guys know me. You know how much I absolutely hate, we lost 7-0, but I think we were the better team. The two of the three goals that Orange County gave up were cartoon goals. I mean, that's something you would expect from a soccer version of the Bad News Bears. They were not good goals to give up. The second Memphis 901C goal, however, was an absolutely fabulous goal. I think it was Akeem Ward with a pinpoint perfect cross that over Kissidu's head, over the goalkeeper. The only person in the world who's going to be able to get to it is Reese Buckmaster. The only person who got to it was Reese Buckmaster, and he went with it, and it was 2-0. And at that point, you're like, it's happening. We're back in the win column. I mean, we're only 12 minutes into the game, and we're already back into the win column, which, by the way, in the middle of all of that, and in between those two goals, one of the more bizarre field scenarios I've seen at AutoZone Park, and we'll touch more on that when we get to the refereeing discussion part of this show, is a field issue, which, given the nature of playing soccer in a baseball stadium, you're periodically going to have that. But this is probably one of the two most bizarre field issues. Is, I believe, the referee of his own accord stopped play because he felt that it was a danger, which there's nothing wrong with that. Primary goal as the referee is player safety. That's at all levels of the game. Player safety is paramount if you're the referee. And if he feels that the field is a problem, which, let's be honest, given where on the field that it probably was a problem, no problem with him stopping the game. The issue that I had there, which we'll get more into, the other issue that I had there was they didn't like do anything about it. They just sat there for like 10 minutes. Everybody just stood there around this problem spot. And the referee kind of walked to the fourth official and then back. And then the Orange County players went to their bench and came back. And all of the 901, this is one of the more strange, bizarre things that half of the 901 FC players all started retying their shoes. And I didn't know if it was like a footwear problem or what was going on there. But we're standing there 7-8 minutes, and there's very clearly a field problem, and they're not bringing anybody to come look at the field. And eventually, two people finally did go out there, and they were out there for all of 8 seconds, and then they left, and we restarted play. That was, and I'm sitting there in the press box thinking, this was in after the first goal, but before the second one. I'm sitting there thinking this is going to sap any momentum that 901 FC had because it's so early, and it's going to give Orange County a chance to regroup and screw their heads on straight. As it turned out, that was not the case because 901 FC came right back down and scored again and went up 2-0. And now you're thinking, hell yeah, it's fun again. And then it wasn't fun again. Almost immediately after that second goal, bing, bang, boom, bing, bong, goal, back of the net, 2-1. Well, damn. The cushion's gone. Hey, you know what? It's fine. We're still up. Everything's good. No, everything was not good. Bing, bong, boom, 2-2. Well, damn. I mean, you know what? We're not trailing. It's fine. Blowing a 2-0 lead. Not good. Not the end of the world. Still the first half. Plenty of time. Then 901 FC comes back down. And another series of bizarre, cartoonish, amateurish level series of events. It hit off of 3 defenders and 2 attackers, and Rodrigo da Costa finally put it home from the 6-yard box. I don't know if Shootlu was doing a clown impression or not, but that was not good defending from Orange County, and 901 FC was more than happy to go ahead and say thank you very much. That's 3-2. We'll come on back down. And then the ghost of Tim Mulqueen's past paid an uncomfortable visit to 901 FC. Part of the issue there was that you had 7 minutes of stoppage time in the first half, and that's something that we saw at the World Cup in Qatar and are seeing at the Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand is a lot of added time at the end of each half, but that's not been a USL thing. That's not been a club thing. That has been like a FIFA directive for these high-level international tournaments, not so much at the lower division of lower level American soccer. But it made all the sense in the world because there had been that issue with the field. And because we had all that extra time, that gave Orange County the chance to come down and tie the game up before halftime. So instead of being up 2-0 or 3-2 going in the half, it is now 3-3. And that's when things started to unravel. Okay. Things in the second half did not go great. Not a ton of chances for 901 FC in the first half, and the second half, and then not a ton of chances for Orange County in the second half either. Their one goal in the second half was initially, I thought it was offside. And I thought that the AR on that side had botched it. I did, based on the way he ran. He hesitated. He started to go, and then he started to stop and thought about going up with the flag and then put it down and took off. And if I'm in the center, if I'm the referee and I look over and see that, I'm thinking, okay, he thought it was off, but he kept going. We're in trouble if this guy scores. And that's exactly what happened. The guy went down and scored. You saw the replay. The whole press box is screaming, he's off, because that's one of those things that it's really tempting that when it's a tight line and somebody is that wide open, it's just your initial gut soccer reaction to go, that dude's offside. There's no way that the defender is so far behind him that he's got this much space and is onside. And then they put the replay up on the Jumbotron, and the whole press box goes, oh, he was onside by like 4 yards. And I don't know what Jelani Peters was doing, keeping him onside by that much and not being anywhere near him. But that was a problem. And that was how Orange County got the bulk of their goals. Simple through balls that were able to just split gaps between 901 FC. Oh, let's also not forget, I completely forgot this. The goal that Orange County scored right before the half was just the luckiest own goal you've ever seen. Not a good night for the Memphis back line. Not a good night at all. They really miss Carson Vom Steeg out there. Excuse me. Yeah, there's those games where it's just not your night, and when you have two players sent off and you blow a 2-0 lead, and then you blow a 3-2 lead, and you give up an own goal, guys, it might not be your night. But that has defensively that's been a little bit of a problem this season. You had a good stretch there after you brought in Bill Hamid, who we haven't seen too terribly much of. I think he was in goal for that San Antonio game, but I think that was the last home game, so that's the last time I actually, with my own two eyeballs, saw him out there. I know, I believe I misspoke when I was on that 560 interview where I wasn't sure where he was, and I was corrected that they were going to try to bring him on as a sub in the Charleston game when it looked like Drew Romig had a severe head injury, but Drew Romig persevered. Unfortunately, I was not there for the Charleston game, so I missed that. But I was corrected. But 6 goals against Phoenix, 4 goals against San Antonio, 4 goals against Orange County, 2 goals against Charleston right before that. The defense has gotten a little bit leaky. Like the team is a little streaky and the defense is a little leaky. It's when they're good, they're good, and the other team doesn't score. Look, you had 4-0 against Tulsa, 0-0 against Detroit, 2-0 against Hartford, 3-0 against Rio Grande. They've kept a halfway decent number of clean sheets this year. I mean, it's not like they're giving up 5 goals every single game, but on those nights when it goes south in a hurry, and it goes South Pole. It's almost very boomer bust, I guess is probably a good way to put that. But at the end of the day, I guess now is as good a time as any to get into. Look, it's 5 games without a win now after 12 games unbeaten. You were 4 games winless to start the season, 12 games unbeaten after that, and now 5 games winless. That's streaky to me. That's not to say, if you wanted to go on another 12-game unbeaten streak, you're not going to hear me complain about streaky, because unbeaten is unbeaten. And I guess if you wanted to play the game, you could say they're unbeaten in 2 of the last 3, but you could also, on the flip side, say they've lost 3 out of their last 5. That's the interesting thing about data, is you can bend it to make it fit any sort of argument or any sort of verbiage. But look, it's 5 games without a win now, and you can take some positives, and Coach Glass even said that after the game, that you can take some positives in the fact that they scored 3 goals tonight when they'd only scored 2 in the last 4 games combined. So that's a positive. But the flip side of that is the negative is that you scored 3 goals and didn't even get a point out of it. So good with bad, but it's to keep large unbeaten streak bookended with medium-sized winless streaks it's a little bit stressful. So that's 8 wins, 5 losses, and 6 draws on the season. I don't know what the table looks like at the end of the night tonight. I guess I could pull that up. I'm not going to mess around with that because it's an interactive table and it takes too long to load on my computer. But they got 4 more. This is also a very bizarre scheduling quirk to have between July the 12th and August the 23rd to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 road games and 2 home games. And no, 6 road games between July the 12th and August the 12th, 1 home game and 6 road games. That's crazy. And part of that is the reschedule of the Oakland game. But still, road trip to Pittsburgh, Loudoun, Indy, and San Diego. At least 3 of those are on the East Coast and not all the way out on the West Coast. That San Diego game, that's going to be a late game. But, The Wednesday, August 2nd game at Loudoun, that's a 10 a.m. kickoff. That's very strange. I don't know what's going on there with that. That's odd. I don't know if I don't know. I cannot imagine school in Virginia or the DC area starts that early. I mean, it doesn't even start that early here. It's usually a couple of days after that. So I can't imagine that's like some sort of field trip game or something like the River Kings used to do and that the Americans tried to do last year. And the problem there was that they tried to do it the day after everybody got back from spring break. Just if you needed just another indicator at how poorly run the Americans and the NISL are. But that's a different topic for a different day. But the points at Pittsburgh, that's going to be tough. They're at or near the top of the table and had a nice deep Open Cup run. Loudoun, they beat you here this year. They're not particularly good, but they did beat you here. Indy 11, always tough out. San Diego, long road trip. Then you're back home for Indy and then at Charleston and at Detroit. Please, dear God, do not let us lose to Detroit. I don't care what else happens the rest of the year. As long as we beat Detroit, I can live with whatever else happens. I don't want to lose that unbeaten streak against Detroit. Please, no. Whatever. By all things that are holy, please, dear Lord, just let us beat Detroit. But that's 2 months from now. In the meantime, you've got 4 straight road games, followed by 2 road games after that. Between July the 12th and September the 6th, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 road games and 2 home games. That's a tough 10-game stretch. It really is. So points are going to be at a premium. You do have games in hand, 1 or 2, maybe even 3 games in hand on teams that are ahead of you. But you can't have too many more performances where you blow multiple goal leads. This is not that's Bob Bradley managing the U.S. national team, and that cost him his job. All right, so now I'm sure the part that everybody has been waiting for is my take on the refereeing tonight. So here, the 2 red cards, no problem with, none. The Jeremy Kelly red card. So both of his yellows, no problem with, none. The second one that he got was very stupid on his part. I'm sorry. Don't, after the referee has called a foul, standing over the ball, you have walked away, and then for whatever reason decided to walk back into the conversation that probably doesn't have anything to do with you and start running your mouth while you're already on a yellow card. That's just dumb. I'm sorry. That's dumb. Second yellow, red, your night's done. Now it's 3-3. We're down a man. Let's hold on for the point. Didn't happen. The Bruno Lapa red card. That's the easiest red card that referee's ever going to have to give. Ever. And it was so pointless and so stupid because he called the foul against the Orange County player, had his hand in his right pocket to get the yellow card out for the foul, and Bruno Lapa decided, I'm just going to kick this dude because I guess I'm not going to let him. I don't know. It was just dumb. And Coach Glass even said after the post game, he's like, yeah, that's a very obvious red card. Issues that I had with the refereeing. First off, we talked about the field, right? Part of every referee crew's pregame on any game and any level that matters. Pregame field inspection. You walk the field so that you can identify and handle potential problems before the game kicks off. Those referees walked that field like they were supposed to. 20 minutes before kickoff, they're out there warming up, they're checking the field, doing all that, especially at a place like AutoZone Park where you have sod going up and down multiple times a season because it's soccer in a baseball stadium. You want to make sure that the player's safety is front and center, foremost at the front of your mind. So I don't necessarily have a problem with him stopping play because the field was an issue. I have a problem with why did you not address it before the game? You walked the field 20 minutes before kickoff. I don't think the condition of that spot of the field changed radically in the 20 minutes from the 20 minutes before kickoff until 10 minutes into the game. It wasn't raining. It wasn't a million degrees outside. There wasn't a lot going on. There weren't tractors or there wasn't whole armies of people. I don't understand why that wasn't dealt with before the game, and then I also don't understand why once you identified the problem, you did not immediately take steps to get. You just were standing there in a school circle. That field issue, that to me is on the referee crew. That's one of the issues that I have with the referee crew. There was one, and so this is where I do understand the frustration of Jeremy Kelly. I don't remember at what point it was in the game, like what minute. It was in the second half because he had the ball and was going away to my right towards that goal, towards the terminate section. And he got crushed, okay? No, not even – I mean, that could and probably should have been a yellow card for a reckless tackle. Not only was it not a yellow, it wasn't a foul. And then so you're sitting there and you're going, oh Lord, please don't let there be a foul on Memphis coming right back the other way after you let that go. Sure enough, there's a foul on Memphis coming right back the other way, not a minute after you let that go. And I'm like, that's not a fun spot to be in. I mean, that was he blew the call. Yep, he did. I mean, that was a very clear foul to me, to Jeremy Kelly, to a lot of the other, to the 3,900 other referees in the stands. Not that my opinion or the opinion of the crowd really should matter to the referee. It shouldn't. There are 3 people on that field whose opinion counts for the referee, and they all happen to be wearing the same jersey. But from where I was, it looked like a very clear missed foul. And so I get the frustration, but again, if you're Jeremy Kelly and you're already on a yellow, there's no need to go popping off at the referee in a conversation that has nothing to do with you. Then another issue that I had, and I don't know, again, what the minute was. I wasn't writing all of this down. I get tied into relaying information on my laptop and typing it out, and for anybody that's following along. But there was a scenario right in front of the 901FC bench where the AR puts his flag up for offside, and the referee blows his whistle, and everybody just kind of assumes, flag, whistle, offside, down we go. And then all of a sudden, we're restarting with a free kick for Orange County. What's going on there? That didn't make any sense. I think the Orange County players were every bit as surprised as I was, and every bit as surprised as the Memphis 901FC players were. So there were problems. The game could have been officiated much better. I trust me. If I'm saying that, you can take it to the bank. But at the same time, let's not pretend that 901FC is like the 901FC players are just these cute, innocent little school children that are just merciless to do anything to prevent themselves from being sent off. Okay? They showed their ass out there tonight. They did. They showed their ass. If you feel like the referee is having a bad game and you're not happy with the way it's being called, getting in his face and waving your arms around like a lunatic is not a good way to resolve that issue. Hence the caution for Akeem Ward. I mean, you want like complete and total meltdown, loss of composure. Okay? If you're professionals, you can't let that happen. And I know everybody likes to think that the referees operate with impunity and no oversight, and they just get to kind of do whatever it is that they want to, and that's not even in the same galaxy of truth. There's going to be discussions that are had about this game, but make no mistake, 901FC, a lot of those cards were self-inflicted because they couldn't control themselves. Were there missed calls? Sure. Is it frustrating? Absolutely. I'm not here to tell you that it's not. What I'm here to tell you is that if you feel like things are going against you, showing your ass and acting a fool is not the best way to resolve that potential issue. Okay? It's just not. And then, I get that it doesn't look great. that you ask for all of this stuff and then you start getting popped with cards and having players sent off. You know, if you don't want to get sent off, don't kick a dude while the referee is cautioning him for fouling you. That doesn't even need to be my 17 years of refereeing experience. That's just common sense. When you get fouled and the referee's about to give this other dude a card, don't kick him. When you get called for a foul, just go set up. I mean, you're sitting over here and going like this, and was the card worth it? Did it make the referee change his mind? Did it change the way he called fouls the rest of the game? No, you just looked like a fool. It's very petty and juvenile, really. Sure, there was a lot of stuff that could have been handled better by the referee. The Jeremy Cowley foul, the offside that somehow turned into a free kick for Orange County, which I didn't get. Like I said, the goal, which was the fourth goal for Orange County, which was onside. Visually, if you know what you're looking for, it looked bad with the assistant referee going, run, oh no, oh flag, oh no, and then take off. And that doesn't look good. I mean, it was ultimately the right decision, but that doesn't look good, and that undermines your credibility as a referee crew. But I didn't necessarily have a problem. There were a couple of accusations of dives at the Orange County players. I know there was specifically one kind of right towards the end of the game down in the corner in front of AR1 on the same side as the benches, where the Orange County player went down holding his face, and they didn't bring a trainer out to check on him. I think Leston Paul might have gotten a card out of that. There were just too many bodies, and there was not a replay shown, so I don't know. I do know that I saw Stephen Glass going like this, and that usually means one thing. The assistant referee was a foot and a half away from it. Is all I know. Is all I know to tell you on that one. There was, I think, Knight Pickering got a caution for delaying the restart, which somebody said, look, the Orange County player just fell down and Knight was frustrated after he got called for the foul. Okay, that's fine, but booting the ball 25 yards away, that's going to get you a card every time. Now, if I had the whistle in that scenario, I'd look and go, well, y'all are the ones that are down 4-3, so you booting the ball away is all the punishment, and wasting time is all the punishment that you need. I'm not going to card you. I would not personally have given a card in that spot for delaying the restart. But if you, by the letter of the law, that is textbook delaying the restart of play. That's really all I have to say. Referee could have done much better on 5 or 6 different issues, but to sit here and act like 901SC's players didn't have a hand in their own demise would be foolish. All right, but I think that's going to be it for tonight. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks everybody for following along on Twitter. Thanks everybody for reading the previews and the game recaps that we've been cranking out for the Bluff City Media site. We really do appreciate that. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. If you're not an insider, become an insider. If you're not a sponsor, go ahead and sponsor us. Any and all interaction is welcomed and appreciated. So with that, I won't be talking to you until Wednesday, August the 23rd. Although I did mention in the open to the show that we are going to be making an effort to try to get over to some U of M games at the Park Avenue campus. Give me 1 second. Let me pull that up for anybody that's interested. I know the Memphis women have a couple of actually home games against Power 5 programs. So give me 1 second. I'm going to try to make an effort to get over to Park Avenue and cover some of those games. I should have had the schedule pulled up and all ready to go. Do forgive me for that. But, the Memphis women's soccer program is the most consistently successful program on the campus at the U of M. And if, Bluff City Media is going to be the premier soccer outlet in Memphis, it would behoove us to go over there and cover one of the more successful programs in Memphis. So you have on August 7th, so that's only what, 2 weeks away, 2 weeks and a day away. Memphis plays Missouri, which has an interesting little backstory. After the Missouri football program chickened out and decided they didn't want to come to Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium and fulfill their obligation to the Tiger football program, and instead ran scared and played the game and decided to play the game in St. Louis. So if you're a Tigers fan through and through, you might want to show up to the track and soccer complex at the South Campus Monday, August 7th at 7 p.m. Then you have another exhibition game August 9th against Lipscomb. That's a Wednesday. That's at 4 p.m. Then you have a regular season August 17th against Southern. Rivalry game on August the 20th, a Sunday against Ole Miss. And then August the 24th, a home game against Ohio State at 7 p.m. So that's in the month of August, there are 5 Memphis women's home games, and 3 of them are against quote unquote Power 5 opponents. I don't know what the college soccer structure is, but at least in football and basketball, Missouri, Ole Miss, and Ohio State are Power 5 programs. So that's August 7th, August 9th, August 17th, August 20th, August 24th. You can find that on their website. I believe I've retweeted it and shared it on Facebook as well. But other than that, that will do it for us here tonight. So I may be able to talk to you after one or multiple of those Memphis women's games. But the next time I'll be here to talk to you about 901 FC is August the 23rd against Indy 11. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Again, I'm Lawrence Dockery. Find me on Twitter at LDoc93. Find the 901 Soccer Podcast on Twitter at 901 Soccer Pod. Find us on Facebook as well. Just search 901 Soccer. We'll pop right up. Find Bluff City Media on Twitter at BluffCity_media, and search us on Facebook. Just search Bluff City Media. Like and subscribe, follow, retweet, all that good stuff. You can find Bluff City Media on YouTube, which is where this show will end up. A lot of other stuff. If you want to become an insider, you should do that. If you want to subscribe, you should do that. If you are a sponsor interested in sponsoring a soccer show that I do, love to have you. If you want to sponsor a Tiger football show, a Showboats show, a Tiger basketball show, or a Grizzlies show, they'd be more than happy to have you on too. Just reach out and we will point you in the right direction. But thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.